Monday, October 3rd, 2022. Can you join me for saying the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up, we'll go through the warrants as usual. In front of me, I have the general fund warrants in the amount of $812,315.73. Quite a hefty one. I believe we have the Franklin County Sheriff on there for his law enforcement efforts. There's another bigger one on there too. And then the paving, yes, the other one for paving is $475,000. So the general fund is dated September 29, 2022, in the amount of $812,315.73. Will anybody make a motion to approve this warrant?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Jack, you have those two warrants there.
Okay, these are payroll warrants for the pay period September 30th, 2022, in the amount of $34,801.49. And for the week of September 23rd, because I had them out of order, for $19,341.65. I'll make the motion that we approve those.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. I gotta vote on that too.
And this one is the infrastructure development warrant in the amount of $1,311.25. I make the motion we approve that.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the Stonehouse warrant in the amount of $649.50. I make a motion we approve that.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, in front of you, you have the minutes of September 19th, 2022. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now we're on to public comment. We have a few rules with public comment. What is it, 5 minutes?
Usually five per
5?
person.
Okay, so we'll go 5 minutes per person, seeing as how we have a crowd. That's the rules. So, does anybody want to come up to make a public comment?
I guess I'll start it off.
Actually, if you come up,
Come
you
up.
are gonna
Okay.
have you come up here, it's just easier to hear you
Alright,
and see you. And just state your name before you start speaking.
Okay,
for-
I'm Dan Crapo, and I'm a resident of Gricebrook. It's a retirement community for 55 plus. What I'm here for tonight is, I'm the president of the HOA too, by the way. I've been for 5 years, and I think I know some of you folks already.
You can certainly sit if you're more
Yeah.
comfortable.
No, it's okay, I need to stay in.
All right.
I won't be standing too long anyway, so. What I'm here for is, I wanna thank you for your time first, for letting us come. What I'm here for is I wanna share with you some of the concerns that the residents of Ricebrook have about Ricebrook Road, which is a private road, and also the discontinuance of Thorpe Avenue. So I have requested to get on the agenda for this, but apparently we can't, so we're gonna go with this form, and I think you allowed us 15 minutes because we're a big group, so.
Correct, that's right.
With that, I'm gonna have Liz Jackson, she's on our committee for the road and parking lots at Gricebrook. And she has a presentation she wants to go through, and I'm gonna put her on and she can do that. And please, no comments or anything, questions or anything, wait until she's done so she can complete her time, because we only got 15 minutes, so. Thank you. Liz?
Thanks, Dan.
It's all yours.
Excuse me, Gordon. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
Some of you already know me. So, I think you all got a copy of this presentation that I'm doing this evening, so maybe you've had a chance to look it over. But I'm gonna read down through it because there are a lot of people here that have not heard it, and I want it part of the public record. So on behalf of Griceburg Gardens Association, thank you for allowing us to speak this evening and take the opportunity to talk with you about this subject. We're here to discuss Thorpe Avenue and Griceburg, which provide access and run through our community. To clarify for anybody who doesn't know Griceburg Gardens, we're a 55-plus retirement community of 48 units, comprised mostly of elderly people on fixed incomes. For the past 20 years, this community has had the burden of maintaining Thorpe Avenue and a portion of Griceburg Road using our own funds in anticipation of the town of St. Albans taking over these roads. Over the years, members from our HOA board have spoken to the St. Albans Town Selectboard about the road situation at numerous town meetings. We've also engaged with you in one-on-one meetings, conducted correspondence by letters and emails to exhaustion. We are here this evening to get clarity on Thorpe Avenue and its ownership and about the situation with Griceburg Road. To get a clearer picture, we think it's imperative to start from the beginning of the Griceburg project and the land use permit dated May 30th of 1995 and recorded in St. Albans Town Book 83, pages 412 through 420. So this is just a synopsis of the points that we want to make to you, the things that we think fell apart. So in that land use permit, page 30, point 34, page 6, the road will be constructed in accordance with local and state standards. The town of St. Albans has a policy of accepting roads built to A76 standards after the inspection of the road foreman and passage of 3 years. Point 70 on page 14, the access road will be constructed to state A76 standards and to all municipal standards. Point 71 on the same page, the road is proposed to be taken over by the town in accordance with their policies. And then a subsection of that, the commission wrote, it's concerned that the homeowners may suffer significant financial impact if the road is not constructed in accordance with state and municipal standards and taken over by the town. The commission would therefore require that a registered engineer certify upon completion of the road and prior to the occupancy of any unit that the road has been constructed in accordance with the state and local standards. The certification shall be submitted to the district commission. The land use permit only discusses Griceburg Road, which has never been maintained or taken over by the town in accordance with this document. According to our board's latest interaction with town manager Carrie Johnson, the town's intent was to discontinue Thorpe Avenue beginning in 1989, 6 years prior to this permit being issued. The land use permit doesn't mention this, but in another significant financial burden that should have been addressed at the time. On November 3rd, 2021, Ms. Johnson wrote a letter to Griceburg Gardens' current president, Dan Crapo. Ms. Johnson states, if Griceburg Gardens wants further clarification on the status of this road, I recommend you hire an attorney and perform a title search. It is our belief that the town should provide us with these records since the town is the discontinuer and the recording body. Additionally, it would spare our already ailing and senior group of taxpayers another financial burden. Over these 20-plus years, at every request, the residents of Griceburg have been turned down for road maintenance assistance. We have no interaction with, nor are we managed by the original developer of the community. We have no deep pockets supporting us. We are 48 households of senior citizens. Taxpayers who bought homes in retirement community in hopes of not worrying any longer about maintenance issues. We pay HOA fees to handle our normal upkeep, and that no longer will cover the ever-growing deterioration of these roads. Thorpe Avenue and Gricebrook are the cause of significant financial impact to the population of Gricebrook Gardens. We pay town taxes just like everybody else, but we also must pay for our own plowing and road maintenance because the town refuses to do this. This easily exceeds $20,000 a year. Last year alone, $17,000 to plow just the snow. And this is only a Band-Aid to keep our roads passable. These roads are failing and need to be brought back to standard as when they were built. On the top of that, we now need to determine who owns Thorpe Avenue and how we're going to pay for the significant road repair and ditching. I respectfully ask that the town provide Gricebrook Gardens with the documentation that the town followed through with the road discontinuance in accordance with the state of Vermont rules, and inform us as to who owns that property, as there are 2 adjoining lands. In 2021, one of our residents, who was 93 at the time, fell in his home and broke his pelvis in multiple places. Can you imagine the horrifyingly painful trip that man took up that road, 4/10 of a mile, I know this man, in an ambulance? We respectfully asked that you reconsider our request for help with the very significant financial and emotional burden of road maintenance. What message does it send the community that our own town isn't willing to help its senior citizen taxpayers who have spent their life working and now are just trying to enjoy their remaining years, but instead have to worry about how they will pay for and maintain roads? So in summary, I'd like to say, we respectfully request that the select board form a committee or assign this project to a town official to resolve the following questions once and for all. We would request your response to our issues on or before December 31st of this year. And my summary of that is Thorpe Avenue. Did St. Albans Town follow the correct procedures to discontinue Thorpe Avenue? All owners of the property adjacent to the road should have been informed. And I do have a copy of this for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
If St. Albans Towns can provide evidence that Thorpe Avenue was properly discontinued, show us copies of the public and private notifications as required by law, then the town should provide Gricebrook Gardens Association with the official notification of who owns the road. It should not be at the expense of our senior community to identify as we are not the cause of the change of status of that road. And finally, Gricebrook Road. According to the land use permit, St. Albans Town should have taken the road over in 1998, 3 years after the completion of the road. We have never gotten the answer of why didn't it happen? You know, it never happened, and why didn't it happen? What conspired to make that not happen? Seeing as the state commission gave that permit because of that. Thank you.
So, are we kind of taking this in and are we gonna ask questions, or we typically don't ask too many questions or public comment?
No, but I mean,
Like
since everyone's,
if anybody has a question,
Yeah.
feel free to ask Liz or Dan.
I would say we're gonna need time to,
Like to digest this stuff. 'cause
Right.
I get the questions.
I mean, I guess I have a couple short comments. The way that we normally take over roads is not, it doesn't happen automatically. The HOA or the landowner or the developer, has the responsibility of approaching the town to say, I'd like you to take the road over, will you come out and look at it? So it sounds like, although none of us were here at that time, probably most of you weren't here at that time either, obviously, but that didn't happen, so I don't know, but that's the process I've been using since I've been here, and that's what was used beforehand. the developer usually approaches the town or the HOA president and says, I'd like the town to take over the road. And then we perform an inspection. Right now, it also includes stormwater permits, but at that time it didn't, but way back then. And there's no hidden hearings that happened. The attorney told us that after significantly performing that discontinuance hearing, there was, as you know, because I provided the HOA with a written opinion from our attorney from, I think, 2013, there was a minor legal deficiency. So for a while, there was a lot of ambiguity about who owned that road. I'm talking about the official town highway part of the road. But the attorney I spoke to last year said that after 30 years, with no legal challenges, that road becomes legally discontinued. There was no hearings, there was no need for hearings. You didn't miss a notice of any kind. It just, that's what happens after 30 years of no legal, I don't know, I can't remember what he called it, but, so that's what he told me at that time, which is why, with his advice, I wrote that letter to Dan. I can ask him for that reference, the statute reference, so you can review it, but, we didn't fail to notify you or any of the neighbors. That's just what happened after 30 years.
But that still does not answer who owns that road.
It does, it means the town does not. So your association or those who use that road own it.
Even though there's two adjacent lanes.
The fact that there's land in the area doesn't change the ownership of the road. It's just no longer a town road. So it becomes, by default, whoever owns all of your other driveways, but.
Maybe the bigger question is, what can you do for us now?
Right, and that's, I assume that that's a great follow-up, and we're gonna have to evaluate what we have.
So from the time, I'm trying to think back to 10 or 12 years ago when I was on here. The city made us take that culvert out so traffic couldn't come in and out of the community that way. Then with some hassling or whatever, some of the residents at the time wanted to be able to walk over Thorpe Avenue to the store or whatever, and we were able to put a small bridge or culvert back in there so it would be foot traffic. But was that Thorpe Avenue at the time, was that when it was with the,
Discontinued?
started to be discontinued and we took out that culvert?
I think it was discontinued way before that, right? So you're saying back in the
I
You'd
think
say-
so, I don't think that covered bridge that was there was.
89,
Right.
that was before the project, because I know the Smiths used to use it to get the hay in and out Thorpe Avenue.
1989
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
May 8th, 1989. Yep, the town voted and also the city voted, and the city voted 4-0. They dissolved the road, took the culvert out. And in 1980 is when the Ricebud Development Corporation started the project with the Act 250.
They started the permitting, right?
They started the permitting back then, and in 89, that's when they paid the impact fee.
What year did you say that was? 1980 they started the permit?
Yeah,
80.
1980, Ricebud Development put out the proposal for water and sewer for that property allocation, so. And, let's see. That's when that happened. And then it was in 89 when they took the culvert out. And there was a joint meeting between the town and the city. And the city, at first, it was like, the town did not pass. It was 2-2. One abstained. And motion made by Peter Deloriers, 2 to discontinue. So then they voted it in, it was 3-0. So it passed. But they never recorded it properly, and that's why. What we're asking though is it's town highway 19, there's a lot of 007 permit, you look into that, and it says when you discontinue a road, the select board has to be involved, you have to hold it in the meeting,
Mhm.
record it in your meeting in between that time. visit the property, you need to survey the property. I'm just asking, take a look at that, because there's a lot of sections in there, it says that you're required to do that, or else it's not legal. You need to notify both landowners, which was in Smith. Smith was never notified. We got the letter this last time. What else? It's gotta be public in the paper at least 10 days before, stuff like that. You just have them take a look at that, just make sure they follow the procedure. So we're legal, because I mean, we need to close this one way or another.
So,
This
so
has been
we
going on
have,
for 20+ years.
So you're asking to take over from 104 to where Thorpe Avenue is?
Yes,
But where you all go in around, that's gonna remain in your care?
yes, where we go around is gonna be ours. But now Thorpe Avenue was part of the town, but
Right.
now it's discontinued.
Right. I actually drove in there today.
Take a ride, nice ride,
I
isn't it?
had my
Actually, it's in pretty
3/4
good
ton
shape.
pickup.
That's in great shape
It's in
right
great
now,
shape.
because we just spent a lot of money
I
to
see it
get.
was stoned quite a bit in all the
Yeah.
potholes.
We put some we paved some holes and.
We regraded Thorpe Avenue too.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that, yeah. I've
So we
been
put a
in there
lot of
for
money in
years.
there. It's, I don't have the figures with me. We put a lot of money, right,
44,000.
I was gonna say over $40,000.
over $40,000.
So-
We can't afford it. We're on a budget. We're a nonprofit.
What about Pizza Galley and the Elks? I mean, should they be involved? I mean, they use it too.
Yeah, they should,
In what way do you mean, maintaining it?
maintaining it.
To maintain it, bring it up to standards, so, you know, we can take it or find out, did we ever? I can't
I
recall
don't
if we
think they
ever
would bring
dug
up the
that road
standards.
up to check did we ever? Nothing in
I'm not
Johnny
aware if
Bloom's
it was
records?
confirmed that it was built to specs, it was supposed to be, but I don't know if it was.
I thought
Well,
there
the
was-
Elks Club really haven't got
We-
much.
We would not bring it up to standard because Smith owns most of that on the south side.
Yeah,
And he won't talk to us about
yeah, and I believe years ago, he still owned the road, and he
Yes,
he still
wouldn't,
owned
he
the road.
wouldn't
Right.
agree to
Yeah.
give it up
it. Well,
at
it's
the
an
time.
easement to us, or
Yeah.
right away, whatever.
So nothing's changed since I was
No,
gone.
nothing's changed. I can tell you that, last summer or last spring, they started, to come up with an agreement, a road agreement to include Grice Brook, Pizza Galley, Homeland Security, and the Elks Club. And they wrote that all up and proposed it to us. We rejected it because it was like we're gonna end up having to ditch it and do everything in between Pizza Galley and Elks and us. And Smiths aren't doing anything. So, it's gonna be, we can't afford it. We just can't afford that.
Do you have any, did you ever, like, how much it would actually cost to do all that? Did you ever have somebody
No, we
look at
never
it?
did really, but, we did some paving things. What is it?
I mean,
Lloyd?
don't know the
100,000,
standards.
200,000?
Yeah,
I don't know the standards, but it would be up there, 100 or 200,000.
yeah, probably, yeah. Estimate, something like that.
I was gonna say, I drove down the other day myself too, and same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ideally, obviously, and I'm basing this on my 18 months being on the board. There's been other communities that have gone through this, and, you know, the owner or the HOA or whomever, right, pays to get it up to standard, and that's when the town takes it over. I know I talked to Carrie last week when this came through, and it's like, the same question that the gentleman asked in the back, so where do we go from here, right? How do we help, knowing that we're restrained a little bit? We can't move forward and just take it over and fix it, though I would love to do that. We have lots of communities that are in the same position, so we'd be setting a different precedent, right, to do that. Now, I don't know any of the legal stuff. I was getting ready to play baseball over at Barlow Street School when this originally happened, so I certainly don't remember it, but to find out where we're at, where to go. I was trying to spitball ideas with Carrie last week on ways that, you know, what are things we can do to help. Is that Department of Homeland Security on there? I heard they got big pockets. I mean, I don't know if there's
Pizza
grants.
Galley.
I don't know if there's, we were trying to think of things we can do. I mean, it's a shame that it hasn't been done already.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is,
that's
it's a
the bottom
shame.
line.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's
even if-
not for lack of trying on our part either.
Oh, I don't mean, I don't mean you folks.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's it seems like it hasn't run the normal course that other projects like this have, where
Right.
the owner has gotten it up to speed. It sounds like with some of the things I'm hearing that, I don't know, maybe there were promises or things that were alluded to that maybe were gonna happen, and obviously they didn't. You know, I don't know if that's the town as any part of it, but, you know, I guess I'd love to have your questions, right? and see what there is. I fear that you've probably heard that before from board members up here.
Now Smith was in, didn't they run the HOA for a while? Weren't they in control of it up until a point, certain
Well,
point?
she was the
under
manager
state
for
law.
a
Oh,
few
she was
years.
a manager.
She managed it, that's it. But they didn't own it, so we're not really associated with Smiths at all, so. So we had her as a manager and replaced her, and now we're self-governed,
Okay.
So
we do it ourselves.
who owns the road itself, the Grace Brook Road? Not
The
Thorpe?
Gricebrook Road is owned by Smith,
Okay,
Smith Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's 1,460 feet
yeah.
road, so,
It takes 8 minutes to drive down it.
yeah. On a good day.
At least.
Yeah. Right now.
And I had
those-
my muffler replaced last week.
Sure, yeah.
Well, even if they could, if you could help us with maybe get some federal grants, state grants, whatever money there's out there that can, get the road up to standard, I mean, and possibly the town could take it over.
We don't really know that it isn't up to standard because we haven't dug through the base.
Well, we know
Right,
it-
I can
right.
tell you over history, I've been on the board for five years now, and the previous president there, Dan Cunningham, he did some work with it and research, and I think the engineer was, what was his name again? He died
Todd,
in an airplane crash.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Taylor.
Todd Taylor passed away, and they tried to get some information to see if the road was up to A76 standard. Couldn't get it, so they went to his partner, and his partner, they had a fire and burned all the files. So anyways, that's where we are with it. They couldn't find the documentation.
So
But
we
I
never
did have
really
a-
looked to see if we got something in the file that said.
Yeah, you may have something, but I did have a conversation with Rachel Smith, and she says they have documentation that the road was put into to state standards.
They must have the plans for it.
They must have the plans, so
I remember
if we could
Wright's
get
built
that.
it. You want me to go see Sam? See what I can.
I think you're the best person for that. I know you can't believe you just said that, but we all heard it.
Well, we ain't
So
been-
move, Jack, so move.
Second.
I've known him since we were kids, but we don't get along that great anymore. I'll talk to him.
Quickly, because this airs in a few days.
You mean you want me to surprise him? Yes.
I can tell you that I've lived in Gricebrook for 17 years. And when I moved in, that road was fine.
Yep, I know. My aunt lived there for, years when it first was built. Yeah, I drove down it today, and I don't think I'd been there since she was there, and, man, I couldn't believe it. Might as well be dirt.
A lot
Yeah,
of it
It's
is.
cose to that thing.
well, the center part is there, we built that up quite a bit, that was pavement, and that was
Yeah.
bad, so. And that's not bad right now, but to take care of it. It'd be better if we could pave that later on, but it's built back up to where the water runs off.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Did a good job, so. And I think we've got 40 grand in that alone, that one road, I believe, somewhere around that.
Well, I think we should have our DPW, engineer
Look at
evaluate
it.
the road. I don't know if he's capable of giving us an estimate as well, but he can at least evaluate it. He does have a PE engineering degree, but he doesn't start for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's one of the reasons we wanted someone on the staff like that.
Okay,
think that's a good
I'm
place
headed
to-
for the Freiburg Fair tomorrow for a couple days, but when I get back, I'll go see Sam, see what he has to say, and maybe get some plans from him or something.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
Because what we're alluding to is, there's over 120 developments in towns that are served by private roads. They also.
Want the same thing.
Well, we just have to follow our existing procedures, because otherwise we'd have a stampede of people coming in here also asking us to pay for the improvements to the road. So what we've been following, for a long time is asking the HOA or the developer to make those improvements, pave the road as well, and get the stormwater up to spec. And then we, will accept it as a public road. So we have to operate within those guardrails, as uncomfortable as they make us all feel right now. But that doesn't mean we can't help, so.
Not to make any excuses, but, you know, I've been involved in the town a lot of years and we're still evolving. I mean, we used to meet twice a month, just the 5 selectmen, no town manager, and you can't really run a town and people are complaining that we're too top heavy down here, but with the stormwater and, I mean, even she's overwhelmed. And, you know, we're always looking for help here because, you know, most of us have jobs or stuff during the day and it's hard to keep track because what should have happened is just like you read there after, you know, it should have been tested to see if it was built right. Then gone into the procedure of taking it over and that just completely fell through the cracks for some reason. Not making excuses, but that's just the way this town was run for 100 years until probably 10 years ago, so.
Liz, can you make sure we get those questions?
Yeah, I got it,
Okay.
so I'll make sure that we'll, just, so everyone-
If you forgot anything or think of something after, you can email me.
I'll just leave you with all of
Perfect.
these
Okay.
and whoever needs
Great.
one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Does anybody else in the audience have a public comment? Okay.
Just one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just as an awareness, I'm sure you're already aware of it, but there are 2 city water mains under Thorpe Avenue in that section. So that's something else that needs to be considered as we look through all of this. I'm not sure how that works with land ownership versus the pipes ownership versus the road ownership, whether it's 3 different things or all of that, but those water mains, and that's the water main that comes from the reservoir, I understand.
Right,
Yeah.
That's right under that road.
right, comes through my farm and goes over to that tower.
Yeah.
Yes.
It comes across the interstate there.
Yeah.
And I think that's 16-inch. And it's, I don't think it's right under the roadbed, I think it's just on the side. Because usually they don't stick them right under a roadbed if they do break, and there's a gas line there somewhere too. You're on gas there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know if Dig Safe has all that stuff.
We could ask the city, obviously,
Yeah.
those are their lines.
So we think maybe the city will pay for it?
They all shop there.
And, I'm sorry, and your name, sir?
Me?
Yeah.
Randy Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Errors and omissions. We have Assessor Bill Hinman.
Bill,
Over the errors and
you can
omissions
unmute now,
report.
please, that would be great.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got more than just 5 minutes.
Yeah. Here, you have my number in case somebody wants to call or have
Yeah.
Jen get a hold of me.
Correct, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Hopefully we can figure something out here.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear us, Bill?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Just have a number of people kind of filtering in and out right now, but, so the select board is reviewing your revised E&O list.
Could you tell us just what's different from the original one? I've already
Yeah,
looked at that.
we added one more solar. We received it on Friday. So we wanted to add it to the list of solars that we have found in town and I want to add to our grant list for 2022.
And the bill, the change in the solars, you might want to briefly touch on?
Absolutely. Just quickly, most of this is all housekeeping.
I'm sorry, hold one moment. Al, I'm sorry, but you guys, can you take it outside, because this microphone's very, very touchy.
We can have that one.
I don't want to do that, but you can't hear.
Yeah,
Jen said
I
you
know.
can't hear. Thank you, sorry.
No problem. So anyways, the long and short, the first several of them are just housekeeping items, minor errors made when we did the grand list. If you all have any questions for me on those, I'd be glad to entertain them, but they're pretty straightforward. We tried our best to update the grand list as best we can, from all different, methods of evaluation, whether it be Google Earth or physical inspections on properties and so forth. The big changes this year is Molly and I should back up a little bit. The state statute for solar installations requires that any commercial utility solar that is over 50 kilowatt hours be assessed for tax purposes by the municipality. That solar generation plant, these units are paying an education tax straight to the ed fund. So we do not set them in our ground list for the ed fund. It's simply a way for the municipality to be able to collect municipal taxes on a portion of the valuation of those solars. We use a company which is recommended by the state, called P Solar, which allows us to evaluate those solars based upon, again, state regulations, discount rates, and current wholesale rates for electricity. And then the state requires that we discount that by 70% and come up with the evaluations for those properties. Many, or I should say not many, most of the solar installations that we contacted this year were not aware of the statute that requires that they file a PV form with us once they start generating electricity. So I think St. Albans is one of not a lot of towns that are now going after these solar installations proactively to get them on the grand list so that they're paying their fair share in taxes, at least on the municipal side. And so I can explain to you guys how the valuation works if you're interested, but I'd entertain any questions that you have.
Just for the heck of it, Bill, where are these?
They're all over town. There's one on Lower Newton Road, just
Yeah.
past the
Okay, yeah,
correctional center.
yeah,
The one on Lower Newton that's on top of a building. They're all over the place.
okay,
We actually, with Molly's assistance, we actually used Google
Yeah.
to kind of just scour the town for different solar installations. We went to the Certificate of Public Good to find out which solar installations had received approval. The one problem with the Certificate of Public Good is a lot of times people will receive a Certificate of Public Good and then they won't install the solar. So we can't use that as definitive installation of solar. We actually have to physically find them. And again, a lot of times these companies are not sending us this information. They're waiting for us to track them down, which is not what the statute says. The statute clearly says that any commercial installation over 50 kW shall be filing this inventory form with the municipality that the solar is located.
but we do got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask, are you good, Jack? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Bill, just one question for me. I'm looking at some, and I just wanna make sure I understand the language. I'm looking at, for example, the second one on the third page here. Bright Sky Solar. It says
Okay.
solar array that was installed back in 2016 discovered. Does that mean it's been built for 6 years?
it's down next to my land there in the woods.
Discovered means it's been there for 6 years and we just found out, is that right?
Yep, so
Yes.
this was on my wish list per se. I've done this in Georgia, I've done it in Williston, and
Right.
unfortunately, we got into COVID back in 2020, so we had a whole different host of issues. And this summer, we finally had the time to be able to proactively start spending the time that we needed to be able to identify these, send out the letters, receive the inventories back, and then evaluate them and put them on our ground list.
Okay.
You wouldn't see that, even coming off the interstate, you can barely see it in the trees, cause they cut it right out of a piece
Yeah,
of
they're
forest.
sneaky.
And it butts on one of my fields over in the back here.
Is that the one near Prospect Hill? Cause there's one there too.
Well, it's down behind Harbor
Okay.
View.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's almost to 104.
I mean, that's what we want, right? We do want them kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
out of the way, but.
Yeah, better
It's
than.
kinda funny, we
better than
never
wind
saw
towers.
it or knew it was there, but
Yeah.
you can't really see it from anywhere.
So the net of all the E and Os is a net municipal revenue increase of almost $14,000.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna make a motion, or?
Yeah, do you wanna make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the errors and omissions revised sheet, October 3rd, 2022, from Bill Kidman. And,
Anna, we can't understand you, Anna. She's frozen.
She's not moving.
Right.
What if they got a permit?
Something about if they got a permit.
If you turn off your video, Anna, we might be able to hear you. I don't know if the audio gets better. Oh, yeah. Okay, can you restate your question?
Did they get a permit?
did they get a permit?
They must have. I would think they would have had to for something that size.
Get a permit for putting,
Are you saying did
So
they get
I
a
have not
town?
I have not checked with Megan on this, and I did not ask,
Yeah.
zoning administrator, but we have not, I actually, we obviously have a permit list that we follow going back, since we've been here. It's a very, comprehensive list. And I don't know for sure, but I'm sure, but I think the certificate of public good allows for the installation to go in without a building permit. But I will double check that with Megan, but I believe that to be true. Otherwise, we would have gotten these permits here earlier.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, we have a motion?
I think
Did you ever get it finished?
Yeah, to accept this
Okay.
revised,
I'll second it.
as submitted.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you all, appreciate your time.
You too, have a good night.
All right.
Okay.
The next item, it's kind of out of sync, but I had a town resident, Janet Bailey, ask if she could serve on the historic preservation
Is
committee.
she already on that board? Is it? That
No.
name sounds.
She's just
so-
on
She's on the,
Museum.
she's president of the historical museum,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
No, I
is
just,
that what you were saying?
yeah, was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
The St. Albans Museum,
Mhm.
right?
And
Okay.
she does a
Okay,
lot of other
that's why-
volunteer
okay,
things
okay.
for,
She's come down, or been on, she,
Okay, I just-
no, not in person,
Was
but she was
she,
on Zoom.
Was
I
she
think.
at
Zoom,
the
she gave
open
you a
house the other
presentation.
day?
She was.
I did talk to her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, she's a, well, she said retired air traffic controller, and I didn't know she had a degree in this too. She
So,
makes her highly
any-
qualified.
Anybody wanna make a motion to appoint her to the Historical Preservation Council?
Yeah, I would, so move.
Yeah.
If you said it enough,
Okay.
Jonathan.
Jack, made the motion?
Oh,
Did I make it?
second that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Okay.
There's not much backup tonight on that.
No, there
Second.
isn't. It's either, you or no one.
just like the old board when it was 3.
Yeah. But we
Somebody
don't
asked
have,
me
but
when
we
that
don't
was.
have cigars going, that's the
I
difference.
ran
Anybody
the
bring a
first-
cigar?
Or any adult beverages.
Or adult, it's like a little cup of whiskey with 2 ice cubes.
When it went from
We're on
3 to
camera,
5,
too.
I ran that. It was the first time I ran. I came in second out of 5 other candidates.
And what year was that?
I weren't that old, probably 30, 31.
Okay, I was
don't
wondering,
know.
somebody mentioned that, but I don't know.
Good 30
Years
odd
ago.
years ago, 30,
Yeah.
35 years
They had
ago.
a select board back then?
Yeah, there was only 3 of them,
Writing in stone.
and it was always in agreement.
Yeah.
The next item,
Okay.
has to do with the Northwest South Communication District. They are asking for an alternate.
Yeah, does anybody wanna be an alternate?
No, I don't communicate that well.
Give me a break.
Assume they'll take it whenever they can, whenever we can.
Well, it's an alternate. Al, are you the?
Hey,
No,
that's a point.
That's
Jeff
we have,
Brendan.
Steve Deal, Steve
Steve
Deal.
Steve Deal, okay,
She's
okay.
very interested in
Yeah,
it, they
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
wanted another, a backup in
Just a
case.
backup.
That's a
I spoke,
point.
I spoke to him, and he said he's been on, from the appointment now, he's on the executive committee, and he's got some other designated things he has to do, so he's really looking for an alternate to help him, somebody that he can keep him abreast, and then when he just time-wise can't make a meeting, that person to step in.
So Brendan and Jeff aren't here, so pick one of them. No, seriously.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, you beat me to it.
I think Brendan would be really good on it.
You can wait till the next meeting, but I mean.
I mean, if
Does
the,
it have to be a select person? That was my question.
I don't think so, right? I mean,
it's whoever
Stevie
we
deals now,
appoint,
so.
right? Yeah, it's whoever the select board appoints.
Correct, that's what I thought too, but I didn't know what the form. It doesn't,
Jack knew that and didn't care.
just the select board has to appoint,
Yeah.
that's
As long
fair.
as it isn't me.
I mean,
Let me talk to him and see.
do you
if
have
we can
anybody
find-
in mind, Al?
No,
Or-
no,
okay.
let me talk to him and find out if he's got other people that he knows he can work with.
Yeah, it might be a better relationship for him to,
Yeah,
because appointment per se.
Are they, I think they're monthly too, right?
yes.
So you're, and he makes a lot of them, but not all of them, so you're talking maybe
Yep.
half a dozen times a year or something.
Right.
But it
Okay.
sounds like it's not like just show up and, twiddle your pencil, you kinda gotta,
Right, they're gonna want someone to
Somebody that's
participate when
gonna-
they attend.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right,
Twiddly. That's so-
Well,
I don't know how much you know about him, but he's a guy you wanna get on the select board. Eventually. He was in the, worked in the Pentagon, he was the chief of staff for the, Secretary of the Navy. Also the chief speechwriter for the, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he had some other position with the Naval Operations Officer. And, he's also a squadron commander, aircraft squadron commander. Served
Sounds
in
like he's
Iraq.
way overqualified, Al.
He's very
But-
unassuming though, he doesn't,
Oh,
you'd have to
really?
pull that out of him.
Yeah, he's,
Yeah.
his way of thinking, his systems thinking is what we need.
Oh, okay.
fair enough. Okay,
So we'll,
so we'll kick
We'll
that
push that
can
till-
down the road.
Yeah.
yep.
Kick the can down the road.
Okay, town manager's report. Carrie, looks like ARPA's up.
ARPA's up, so the first item we have on here is just a general update on the funds we're getting from the federal government. We have, as Anna can attest to, maybe the penny, but we've got 1,000,003 in hand. We're gonna get a total of 2. Some of the things, the planning commission asked for an update, so I thought it was perhaps on someone else's mind in town as well. We are planning to have a meeting in November, seek public comment. We need to have a few of those meetings, but other than that, it's kind of wide open. So I think in the next 18 months, maybe 2 years, you're gonna need to make some decisions about how to spend that money.
Gonna get the
After
most
seeking.
Bang for the buck.
Correct, after seeking public comment. So the planning commission asked, I just thought it'd be worthy to share, and maybe Al can bring that back to the planning commission on one of the many hats that he has. He's on the planning commission. And were there any other comments about that?
On the
On the
ARPA?
ARPA?
No,
Okay. So that was just
other than if you give them their discretion, they'll spend it. for
Oh,
you.
yeah, I can do so.
correct. One of the more positive
Things
jobs we
we-
might have.
right.
So,
Go ahead.
are we gonna have some public input on what we should do, or are we gonna provide the public with a list and what do you think about these 5 items?
I don't know, Al and I
You
were
know what I mean?
tossing that,
Do
I
you-
know.
I don't know. Do you make the list and say, yeah, I'm just
This is what we're
thinking,
thinking, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think
that
Jack's
would be
point
great.
is, here's what we are aware of, what are you aware of?
okay,
And get the
Mhm.
discussion going.
Yeah.
I suspect you're gonna need more than one meeting to narrow down the citizens group that participate to something that costs $2 million, or the total sum is $2 million. They're not gonna be easy. I would also suggest, and I've talked to Carrie, but I think we should rent the school, hire kids to babysit, so we get parents out, everybody as possible, with the least hassles. So, some sort of food, babysitting, and get people in
I
there.
wonder if we could team up with like a Bloomin' Minds or somebody that already does the childcare.
Yeah.
And just pay them because they're gonna have the
All the
insurances, the
Stuff's there, too.
staff that's
Yeah.
qualified, you know what I mean, you just.
It's a great idea.
Would there be any chance that we could be in the new town hall by then?
There is a good chance of that, yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be the best place to start with it.
right, and you've got rooms in there
Rooms,
to put
lots
kids.
of rooms, yeah,
And bathrooms.
and bathrooms galore, yeah.
Don't miss the old toilet.
somehow you have to push these engineers and contractors to get that building open.
We have a date now.
Do you?
I guess that wasn't on my list. So we set a tentative date at the last meeting with DEW, after talking to Dave Chevalier about, getting the RO. We're thinking an achievable date right now is the Monday after Thanksgiving. So, with, people schedule deer hunting in Vermont, puts everyone on hold virtually for a couple months.
No, if you get it the first day,
Yeah, then they come in, sometimes not,
So
so.
is DEW managing the installation of the RO?
They're managing everything about it, but they allow their subs to do the work, so but I guess yes, to answer your question.
Okay.
They're talking to Dave Chevalier about what's going on both the inside and the outside of the building. And
So-
coordinating the subs too.
how many weeks away is this machine?
About 2 to 3 that was estimated. I haven't gotten in contact with him this week. I try not to ask too often, cause I know he's running around crazy too, busy, but, yeah, that one was about 5 weeks out. The delay really, and some people get frustrated about this, but, Jason from DEW explained to me, once they get the water running, they then have to sanitize the system. Then they have to take a test from the water, then they have to get that certified, that takes a couple weeks. And then once we get that back, then we can ask the plumbing inspector to come give us the final inspection, and then we can ask our own zoning administrator to give us a certificate of occupancy, and then we can move in. So some of those things just take time, and we can't do them all at the same time, has to be done in
So the
order.
water, is it tested here in the state?
It is. I think it's Endyne.
Coulter's, oh,
Oh, yeah, the Indine. So somebody drops it off there.
Correct.
If I took it down and sat there in the reception
We
room,
could try, that would be
go any
really-
faster?
I don't think.
Maybe.
I don't think there's enough, well,
I'm
you
not
better
sure.
pack a lunch.
Yeah,
It's like, are you gonna wait for your car?
Yes, I am.
Let's put some pressure on them right there.
yeah, bring a tent. Sleeping bag. But that's the date that, they scheduled out and thought it was achievable, so that's what we're gonna go with, the movers for all of the stuff here. So that's what we're going with right now.
I got one question about the building, I know we're getting off topic here a little bit, but, so, have you scheduled like an owner's,
Punch list or?
no, owner's training on the
We've had
building?
some of those already.
You have?
Yep,
Okay.
with John, and, Jason from DEW, Jesse, the architect, that he went through different things, and they have had some of those already.
So has everybody been involved, like Anna and?
She wouldn't have been involved yet, because we haven't had anything that she wouldn't have anything to do with the maintenance or
Oh, I see.
operations.
I'm just, it's more or less for like HVAC,
Yeah.
where's all the electrical panels, where's the emergency light?
Don't touch that
panels?
button.
Yeah, cause technically you're supposed to do emergency light testing and all this stuff, and you need to know what breakers to shut off, and there's
That's
60-minute
correct.
tests, there's 90-minute tests.
Yep.
you
And
make sure
the
that's
fire
work.
department's been there as well for those,
Yeah.
when they actually start, I click go on the, system in the vault, and they've been trained on that. They were there for install and for the inspections anyway, but they also had training on that one. The one thing we haven't had training on is the security system. I think it's live, so I'm supposed to meet with Integrity, who's doing that this week. And, obviously employees will have to have training on that, because we're gonna be using key cards and,
Are we having cameras set up down there?
yes,
Okay. Is
We-
anybody monitoring, so somebody breaks a window down there, say, like right now, does it dial out to the police department, or does it text you? or
it does dial out. I think depending on what it is, they're given John's number, not my number.
Okay.
He's
Or-
got the
yeah,
on-call, well, so
Just
yeah.
because that's kinda out of the way down there, and I was talking to a resident that they had some suspicious activity going on down on Ward Street, so. I
We already
just-
have cameras up and running,
Hmm.
but I added a few more, like I added 2 in the lobby on the service windows.
I'd hate to have somebody go in there and just,
We added one on
Yeah.
the storefront entry, so that if someone, was doing something, it's surveillance and security, right? So we have that
Do you
too.
have motion detectors in the building?
I'm not sure that we do.
Well, it's easy to attach, but your front door, well, wherever you have doors, I put a motion detector. They're not hard to install.
Well, I think first we gotta find out if it's included in the camera, which I think it is, so I just don't remember. We had a lot of them that were motion activated, and then the recording is kept on a cloud. And we got like a terabyte, we got a huge amount of memory, so that we don't, if it's something on that isn't noticed right away, we can go look back up to like 30 days.
Okay. I just know that I have both in the house,
Yes.
and the motion detector comes through quicker than the camera system. So, and that's just ADT and then a bunch of different Amazon type of cameras.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll put that on my list. I don't remember
Your list is
anymore.
growing.
Yeah, you can
It's-
fill that page.
It's really frustrating, that's why I watch an hour-long show and I look to the completion, because I feel like I never get there here, but. I'm like, wait, I took 2 things off today. But we did order, it's a serious question, so the
Yeah.
cameras were ordered, the new ones for this building haven't come in yet.
I was just really
Yeah.
concerned about, say if somebody smashed some windows down there
Well,
tonight,
you
when
wouldn't
would we
even-
know
yeah,
about it,
wouldn't
you
even
know,
notice.
before the birds are in the building? Well, no, it's, you know,
Yeah.
if it's on the back side, I mean, Frankie lives right there, but if he just doesn't happen to be looking, you know,
Yep.
and it rains and it,
Mhm.
you know, maybe just have one of the DPW guys do a walk on the outside of the building, if security's not active, I guess, maybe, I think it might be.
I know it is on, I
Um,
just don't know that.
We have to. Can you hear me?
Not
No.
really well.
Bummer. Why don't you call on your phone?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you say, can you hear me? It's just a little echoey.
So, oh,
It's
now?
all here.
Oh.
Yeah.
You wanna repeat that, please?
So, now, at town hall, which, forget it.
Yeah, I
can't
guess
get
we'll,
it.
we'll talk about it tomorrow, I'll put you, yeah,
Add another thing to that list.
I have to talk to her tomorrow anyway.
Can you,
It's choppy, Anna.
It's like a really bad cell phone commercial, we can,
well.
we can hear you say 3
just
words.
Now at hall, it is, what, all right.
You can't hear you.
We're out on your porch.
I don't know if that's any better. Okay,
Okay.
I'll ask her what she's talking about, but we'll see if motion detectors are on there. All right, so as far as the ARPA thing, we're planning something, if we get something a little more organized, it might take a little longer than early November, but, because if we're moving at the end of November, I'm not kidding myself, it's gonna be a little confusing there for a week or 2. Even with professional movers, but, all right, so, and our plan was, I guess I should finish that, if we're moving that week, we are gonna probably have to close for about a week, just because we're using our server here and then using the same one over there. We hired a professional moving company that said, you know, it'd take 2 days, so stuff like that. And if everything goes really well, maybe we're open early, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that. The next item on the town manager report was capital plan review. Probably should have said just a capital budget list review, because we're not proposing that you revise or review or change, I guess revise and change are the same, the capital plan. The capital plan is that 2021 to 2025 plan that has a number of different ways to look at the same information, like look at our assets and all the equipment and things that we're gonna spend money on, right? And it lays out a plan to do it, but it's fluid and you can change it. Recently, the planning commission took great pains to review our asset list. And so that's what you have in your packet with what Corey went through and actually, you know, touching things, looking at things, and Al looked at it too. to see what we actually have. And so that can help us and inform you as you go into the budget process. I think we're gonna try to have the planning commission chair come to a budget meeting. Not necessarily the one where we have department heads propose their meat and potatoes budget, but after that, so that you can understand why they came to that, recommendation in the list. We're just trying to get to the point where every year, a couple times a year, the planning commission can be that advisory board for you, and they can come and explain what they've worked on for a couple months, if not 6 months, and it can be really, really helpful. So we have quite a talented planning commission right now. We should try to meet with them more often. We just get busy and it doesn't happen, but it should happen. So you're getting that, so you can look at it. If there's something you see that's alarming, you think it
That's
warrants.
what this is?
Yeah, that's what all those spreadsheets are. They've
Good.
been working
Good.
extensively on where we were, where we need to be, or where they recommend we go forward. How we go forward, I guess I should say. So you're going to see it again,
Hmm?
but I didn't want the first time you're viewing it to be at budget time, when it becomes somewhat time critical.
No, that's
that,
great. I was
you
looking
know,
looking
you're
it
like,
over
what?
the other day.
You know, the feedback that you gave me that was valid is that you'd like things a little farther in advance, so
Yep.
when you can't sleep, hopefully when you're awake, it's dry, but it's really critical information, so I don't mean to make light of their work. And since you were at those meetings, is there anything else, Al, that we should add to that?
No, I think you did a great summary. I think, from my point of view also, the earlier you have it, and when you have concerns or questions or disagree, comes back to the planning commission, but long before you get to the formal public meeting, we've got it
Correct.
resolved.
Right.
Right.
Arguing
I'm not
over
that
it there.
transparent as you see.
Right. That's our hope, so.
Yep.
That's what they've been working on for a number of months. Okay, so I think that was it. Village designation update, the reason that's on there is when we were printing your packets, we received, notice that we got approved for our village designation edition of the town hall. So Corey and Jen, represented the town, it was well received, weren't a lot of questions. So now it's official, can move to the grant-seeking phase of village designation.
I'll give a quick question on that. So we were already designated as a village, we just had the expansion over to the new town hall, right?
That's correct.
So now that we're designated a village, does this allow any businesses in the area to apply for grants? For like a facelift or, you know, say if, you know, is there
It's a
stuff
good
like that
question.
also, or is it?
If they're in the designated area, there's grant money that can be applied for, but you can't be outside it.
Right, so if you're, so where would somebody go like that?
In the Agency of Commerce and Community Affairs.
ACCD.
Right.
There's some stuff, one of the things in the packet, right, with some of the benefits, designated village centers, and a bunch of different lists there, and I think there's some links on the, in that letter too, right? Yeah, 'cause I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just not like grants for us.
Municipalities only?
Municipalities, it's for.
I don't think it's only municipalities, and I'm not sure if we have to be a cosigner or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that either. I've seen businesses come before them, so I know it's possible. Hardwick had a number of them in another town that I was aware of.
And Richard, I mean, if someone has an idea, they can always send me an email, or Richard Amore, he's very helpful, that's what he does, that's all he does, that's his thing, so his email is in this. I know, I'm sure he's never heard that. But his email's in here, happy to discuss it, he's so helpful for us, because at this point, you know, we didn't have an actual full-time planner, and so Jen and I were like, how do we get this done? And he helped a lot, and Corey helped quite a bit get some of this ready as well, Corey, parent. Josh Hanford is also on here, he's the downtown guy, but he does a lot of the admin stuff too, so, I mean, this is public information, if you know somebody, you can share this data with them.
I was just approached by one of the business owners, that's all.
Alright,
So,
perfect.
Just a question.
Yeah, it's a good
I
one.
mean, if there's money out there, that somebody
Yeah.
absolutely improves the place up, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's
Just makes it look better for us down here.
it does. So that brings us to the, Childhood Cancer Awareness Week proclamation. You have a letter. Jen took the liberty of drafting a, more or less a proclamation, I guess. It's not really a resolution, but. Would you care to discuss it?
Yeah, I forget who the person was that sent me the email on this to make October 23rd through October 29th, the Childhood Cancer Awareness Week. And they sent links to other towns and, I think state agencies, Governor Scott did a proclamation, same thing. So they were wondering if we could do the same thing, in the end of October. I'm on board with it if everybody else is. We can sign it. I don't think you need a motion, no motion for that.
I think you might
Right.
want one. You're making a proclamation. It makes it
Okay.
a little more official.
Okay, perfect,
I'll make that motion.
okay.
Second.
Thank you.
Do you wanna read it out loud? Were you planning to do that?
Well, we will that week, right? Do we read it typically?
We could probably read it out loud on the 17th,
Yeah, there you go. And then everybody can sign it, and then we
which is the
can have
week before.
like an
Perfect.
official copy.
Yep.
Right?
I did second it, by the way, so.
Okay, perfect. All in favor?
Alright,
Alright.
Okay, so don't forget to sign that before we leave.
Correct.
right now.
All right.
My pointing right at my.
The last item under town manager was, just notice of a few Act 250, correspondence. No motion needed on those at this point.
Do you know why we signed this, why we're seeing these again? Is it like two public hearings they need to be presented at or something?
What's that?
The Act
These Act
250
two-
stuff?
Yeah, you should know, you signed it.
Well, because it was never approved by Act 250.
Oh, okay.
And
It's
all
all
these
one
people built
development.
houses, they own them, now they're trying to sell them, so we're just going through and after the fact, and everybody in that development, the first guy did it, then the second guy did it, now they're doing it in groups. I don't know how many, is there 10 houses there?
Something like that. I don't know
So
exactly
they
how
all
many.
get the same attorney, get their stamp of approval so they can sell the house.
So why does it have to go through Act 250?
Because
those
it never did in
lots.
the first place.
Yeah, but why does it? Because it's
Because there
such a
was
small
10.
development?
There's
Because of
nine,
the size, usually has to do with size.
Size. I'm just curious, cause.
How much disturbance and change there is to
yeah,
the
it
land.
was, and it just got built down there in the backwoods and nobody,
Nobody picked up.
I guess the town must have approved it, huh? And then it
I
had
would
to go
guess.
to Act 250, never quite made it, this before my time, but
Yeah.
now
Okay,
we're
fair
we're just being asked to.
Correct.
It's been looked at and just after the fact, there's ways around, I guess.
Just wait long enough.
Yeah. Put your hat on sideways and go, oh, really? I had to do that? Works every time.
Okay, Carrie, I believe you're all set.
I am.
The next select board meetings are Monday, October 17th, and Monday, November 7th at 6:30. We have a special budget work session Wednesday, October 26th at 8 AM
In the morning?
in the morning.
Coffee, donuts, the whole 9 yards. Okay, egg McMuffins.
Well, now you're getting, asking for a lot. But yes, we will have some food. If you have any special requests or restrictions, let me know.
You already know what I want for lunch.
Oh, yeah. Well, I called
What is it? I gotta
Basin
know.
Harbor, no, I mean Bar Harbor.
Steak and lobster.
Okay, all right.
They're gonna run up at 4 AM.
Well, if they leave the shore at like 6 AM, it'll be plenty of
I
time.
think so. Okay, perfect. Any other business?
Other than executive session items, no, I do not.
So I just have one item. I just wanna talk about this Grace Brook thing. I don't know where we're at, but we have this list of questions. I haven't looked at it yet,
Yeah.
nor am I going to look at it right now. But I'm wondering, you know, they have, whatever their list of questions are, maybe they have some answers and maybe they don't. But whatever they are, like, are you gonna, like, assign this to Al, or are you gonna look into it, or how do you wanna handle it? Like, I'm just wondering, like, should we just try to get these answered and just hopefully this, I don't know if suffices, but like, if we owe them something,
Can I just interrupt you for a minute?
Go
'Cause
ahead.
Carrie and I have already talked, and she's told me, asked me to talk to Catherine Dimitrick. I've read through all the laws and the Act 250 regulation,
Okay.
permit, and I have a number of questions. Catherine has an excellent understanding of the Act and follow-up rules. My question to her is, I made a book of all this stuff that I had copied and where I had concerns, and she's going to look at it, we're gonna sit down. My question is to do it, if you will, in a quiet way, but can we have the Act 250 coordinator, district coordinator, come out and look at the project and see if in fact they and we and Sam followed all the rules of the application, of the permit? I got a feeling there's some language that is not clear, it's ambiguous. And I can see where Sam could say this thing and the town says the other thing. But I don't know enough about Act 250 law and how the courts have decided of whether or not there is some effort that we could use the state to be the hard guy as opposed to the town. And I realize probably shouldn't talk in front of Jack.
They'll come to me, bad spot to be.
well, so it sounds like you have a plan. That's all. I just wanna.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, I wanna respond to their questions. Some
Yeah.
of the questions they posed tonight, I haven't heard before, so
Well,
we should answer them, right?
That's right.
I'm gonna talk to Sam, I don't know if I'll get a straight answer.
Yeah.
See if he has any plans or whatever, how that road was built. If anybody ever checked it,
Right,
'cause my memory is, isn't good from back then.
and we'll check the
Then-
zoning file.
Right.
It's in the zoning
It's
file.
gotta be there. Then, maybe when our new road guy comes on, we could maybe do some digging or boring up there just to see, I mean, if it's right, or close to right, I
Right.
mean, maybe, then we
Even if
could,
it's not, we need to know, you said it and the light bulb went off in my head. Even if it's not, we need to know what it needs to be fixed
To
to
be
the right
fixed.
spec. So we have a number, that if there's grant funds, or if we create a revolving loan fund in town,
right,
that someone, low or no interest, they can have this loan and they pay it off over 30 years, or that property pays it off over
Right.
30 years, it makes it affordable. I think it could be a.
I mean, it sounds like
layout.
they put 40, 80, 100,000 in it themselves so far.
Mhm. I'm not sure if that includes the winter maintenance for their own road though, because
No,
I
it
mean,
sounded like, they did the stone, they put
Yeah.
a bunch of stone, and he said, well, that was 40,000, and, but what I was, they weren't talking about doing all their driveways. They're talking Thorpe Ave. Now, is there a way, once a road is discontinued, to recontinue it? Has that ever been done?
I'm sure there would be a way. The legal challenge when I had spoken with our attorney was that the road leading to it was private.
Right,
And so that was part of our challenge, that it was orphaned. We
Yeah, it's
couldn't,
got an island.
we couldn't cross a private road to get to the public road. And 30 years ago, 32 now, it was discontinued, and the town treated it like it was discontinued. It was no longer on our town maps where their official, town right-of-ways were listed, town roads, so. we
it
did-
seems to me,
yeah.
though, if the entrance road is near spec, I really don't see how those people should pay for Pizza Galley and Homeland Security.
Mhm.
Even Elks, even if it's 100 feet,
That's
should
correct.
have
Mhm.
something in that, should put into it.
Right, right.
And maybe we need to be the body that says, all right, you're gonna pay this, and you're gonna pay this,
Yep.
and the Grace Brook will pay this.
And you have so many trips a day. I mean, both of those places
Right.
have a lot more trips per day than your
Well, I don't
average
think-
senior
well,
house.
I don't think you really could unless we took over the whole road. Like, you couldn't say, you're gonna pay us this, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, if we gotta bring it up to a standard.
Well, it looks like too, they've done work on that first part of the road, right? I mean, that's my understanding, is Elks is,
They've
Done
done some
some
Well,
patch
I mean,
work,
it's
yeah.
good until you get past Elks.
yeah, once you
property
get
line.
past them, it changes
Then
drastically.
you get to Pizza, or Homeland Security, I guess it's all the same person.
Well, no, but I think you're right, I think, PE or whatever their new name is, they own it, and ICE was renting, I think.
Right, that's what I,
PC owns it.
PC.
right, I thought Pizza Galley built
Yep.
it and they own it and
Mhm.
rent it to the government. And then they have the lot just west of
Correct.
it for sale. There's a big sign on there today and the number to call, so I call them, hey, why don't you fix your road? So,
Right,
but I'll see if I can get an answer out of Sam or what. I can tell you he probably isn't gonna give him a dime, but.
Okay, well, at least we're being proactive.
Yeah.
Right, but we really
should
gotta
be.
do something and get at least an answer to these folks, and your revolving program might be something they could swallow.
some of those things though aren't gonna be resolved by their artificial deadline
Yeah.
of 12/31,
Yeah.
but we do owe them an answer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Talking too much, my throat's getting dry.
any other business? Okay, anybody wanna make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual and personnel matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town or person involved at a substantial disadvantage? It is further moved to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual and personnel matter under the provision of Title I, Section 313A1 of the Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager, Carrie Joplin, Alvo Gel, interim director of operations.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, thank you.